what we were actually doing is evidence automation, believe it or not. And one of the things, what we talked about yesterday was how, in Paramify, the scripts and the fetchers and the validators, how it's pretty much, you can call it open source, where you can actually see the how and what's actually occurring. That resonated with us because one of the biggest things we were doing there was, you want to be able to see how the data is collected. You need to be able to evaluate, understand, not it just being a black box, but you want to understand what API calls are being called. You want to understand how the data is being fetched. You want to understand all the nuances. And you also want to understand, I like to call it the dark matter of data, which is the negative space, the things that you don't know about, the things that you may not be capturing. Because if it's a black box, you're not really sure.
Deloitte. I didn't know that you were at Deloitte. I knew you married your high school sweetheart, but I didn't know you were at Deloitte. That's awesome. We're learning so many things about Vinny. Married
his high school sweetheart, worked at Deloitte, and was ripped.
Was ripped. Was ripped.
I thought it was about FedRAMP. What's going on?
What's up, everybody? It's another Paramify Podcast. Here we are. So sick. We're with Bhanu and Vinny from Bladestack. This is awesome. This has been a long time coming.
Yes, for sure. I think we had a bunch of rescheduled, so I apologize on my behalf.
Yeah.
But we're here.
That's all right. I'm so
you guys are
glad.
here.
It's beautiful outside, and so the weather is great. I think the time we had you scheduled, I was a little worried because it was it gets this inversion in Utah, and I'm always embarrassed when people come during the inversion.
And it's gray and ugly.
Yeah. Who came during the inversion? And he's like, wow, this place is beautiful.
We were like, usually you can see mountains.
Yeah. When Ayub came, he's like, oh man, this is awesome. And it was the ugliest I'd seen it in a long time. And he's like, this is great. So Bhanu, Ayub's always super positive and everything.
Yeah. You guys like the weather. That's good. Yeah. What is the Utah inversion? What is that?
Yeah, we're gonna say what's inversion?
So all the pollution and gross air sometimes will just collect.
Ooh, okay.
And so it's just really gray.
Because it's warmer up top, and so it traps all of the nasty.
Science.
We're gonna be talking about science all day.
All day.
We can do this all day.
Anyway, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us here. Yeah, much appreciated.
So tell us how it's going, man. You started Bladestack when, Bhanu?
Yeah, so 2021, and it's an interesting story because what we had done previously, I'll kind of give a quick recap, was actually I'll go back a little bit further and
Yeah. Go take us back as far as you want. Okay. There you are. You're in grade school. You're in grade school. You're dreaming about FedRAMP compliance, right? You're like this little kid. Yeah. Just say, Dad, one day I want to own a business. And okay, just tell us about that.
So I forget exactly when, but it was when FedRAMP was actually being pitched. As I was still a contractor, and I was invited out to go to my first conference, and they were talking about FedRAMP and what it may be and what it may potentially do and how it would reshape the entire risk compliance framework and what have you. And I was actually sitting there. I'm like, nah, I don't know. I didn't think anything of it. And then, of course, fast forward years after, entire business on FedRAMP and so on and so forth. But kind of going back in regards to Bladestack, and we worked at different CPOs, at least I worked at different CPOs. And what eventually happened was we loved what we were doing, but we didn't really like the investors that had come into that 3PAO. They kind of changed courses. And we actually left, when I say we, it's, we like to call it the brain trust, which was myself, Vinny, Chris Martell.
Was it Ripped Vinny?
It
Vinny
was
ripped
not
at this
ripped
point?
Vinny.
Okay.
No,
It was
not
slowly
yet.
getting bloodier.
FedRAMP will do that to you.
For sure. Yeah.
I am way up, except for you.
Except for Bhanu. Bhanu's
I
gotten
used to
more
be
fit.
300 pounds, so believe it or not, yes.
Yeah,
I used to be a
was-
big boy.
Whoa, FedRAMP had the opposite effect. Interesting.
Bhanu has just been spreading his weight among the rest of the FedRAMP community all this time.
Dude.
But yeah, no, I used to, pizza's my kryptonite. I would just be able to just completely, lock me in a room with full of pizza. I'll make my way out.
Dominate it. I love that.
Oh my gosh, I love pizza. I always say when pizza's good, it's really good. And when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. But
Except in South America,
sorry, yeah.
sucks. Sorry, I love
Was the cheese like
my
sweaty?
Latinos,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
But
God,
like, dude,
yeah.
pizza in South
great.
America sucks.
Not great.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry,
No,
Chile.
you're fine.
Sorry,
You're fine.
sorry, Costa Rica. Sucks.
So, we actually had left to go to another company, which we won't name, because it was very interesting place
Learning
there.
experience.
It was a learning experience.
Can you give us a hint?
Wait, we never finished the brain trust though. It was you, Vinny,
And Chris
and
Martell.
Chris. Okay.
Oh yeah, Chris.
Yeah. Yep. So we had left, and what we were actually doing is evidence automation, believe it or not. And one of the things, what we talked about yesterday was how, in Paramify, the scripts and the fetchers and the validators, how it's pretty much, you can call it open source, where you can actually see the how and what's actually occurring. That resonated with us because one of the biggest things we were doing there was, well, you want to be able to see how the data is collected. You need to be able to evaluate, understand, not it just being a black box, but you want to understand what API calls are being called. You want to understand how the data is being fetched. You want to understand all the nuances. And you also want to understand, I like to call it the dark matter of data, which is the negative space, the things that you don't know about, the things that you may not be capturing, because if it's a black box, you're not really sure. All that being said, they had a really good vision, but management and everything was just all over the place. Needless to say, that didn't pan out, but during that time, we had a lot of our customers, by our customers, I say,
Previous customers like partnerships.
yeah,
too.
partnerships and folks we've worked with, constantly just calling, hey, Bhanu, you still doing the
You need an
FedRAMP
SSP. You
thing?
need an SSP.
You need an SSP. Hey, we reached out to all the other organizations, but you guys kind of do something different. And so for, I think about 2.5 years, just trying this, I wanted to be 100% committed and trying to really understand and hopefully make an impact. And but once I started seeing what's that expression? The lining in the sand, or basically red herrings of everything that was occurring, I'm like, okay. I spoke to one of my good friends who also is one of our clients, and he's like, brother, how soon can you get, I'll get you a signed contract. And I was kind of like ruminating on it for a while, which is, what if we just did it our own way, did it the way that we believe, we're really big on just, taking care of our employees and doing things right, making sure if everybody feels valued, everybody feels like they're contributing to a greater whole and making an impact. And next thing you know is, I was online trying to search for names. I'm like, what should I name it? And, Stack was really popular. Everybody was saying Stack, so I was going through Stack this, Stack that, Stack Blade, and then Blade Stack. I'm like, wait, hold on, let's rewind. That's not, and that came off the tongue really well, Blade Stack. And then I wanted to be cool, be like .io sounds pretty cool. That was like the trendy thing, Bladestack.io. Okay, all right. And then I'm like, well, I want to have fun with it. So what can we do to make it unique? I'm like, I love the movie Blade Runner 2049. I love Cyberpunk 2077, the game, and I'm a big gamer at heart as well. And I'm like, all right, let's blend all of these things. And I love the Japanese culture. I'm like, let's blend all of these together and have like a cyberpunk dystopian future theme. But let's have fun. But have fun and play hard, but work hard at the same time. All that to say, Bladestack.io then became a real thing. And it's interesting because the first couple of years when we first went into business, and I actually wrote an article about it, which is on Forbes Tech Council, which is about that when we first started, everybody would like kind of make fun of our samurai aesthetics and samurai, like, no one's gonna take you seriously, man. Like, what were you doing? And people that I actually respected, reaching out, like, hey, what are you doing, man? Are you sure? I'm like, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stick to my guns and continue doing this. Slowly and surely, we started growing because the type of work we did, the type of skill sets we had, bringing Chris Martel on, bringing Vinny on, bringing the team on. And now, our entire branding is also one of the things that is a indicator. It's like, we have customers saying, I'm going to open up the kimono and show you our architecture and this and that. And, people in conferences are like, hey, it's the samurai guys and so on and so forth. But all that to say is, we started in 2021. Fast forward, we are a lean and mean small team, but, we punch above our weight class, and we loved our, and I think that is all to our team, and making sure we take care of our team members and do everything that we can to make our team members feel like this is the last place they want to live. I mean, we want to work. But that's a little bit about Bladestack. I can go into nuances there, but that's kind of how we came to be. There's a bit more there, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys are rad. You guys have awesome clients, and your clients sing your praises, right? So for obvious reasons, right? You guys have that credibility in the space. We always say, like, when we would talk to clients at the very beginning, Mike and I would always say, hey, so you have to do FedRAMP. And so especially when we're talking about legacy FedRAMP, we would say, first of all, condolences, for how you're doing it. And a lot of people want an easy button. And there's platforms that can help organize the work, but ultimately you need to have that expertise. And I see that being even more important today with the things that are changing, because the things that don't matter, all right, the things that we had always, throw rocks at that, like, for example, the system security plan, which is, the spirit of the system security plan is important, and I still believe that. However, the way that it's used and the mechanisms given to what's expected to be filled out is like so dumb, right? And so now, fortunately, we have these changes that are happening with FedRAMP 20X. You guys are charging right into that, right? So now what we'll expect in the future is you have this document, the SSP, which is usually super huge, right? And that is being referred to as like the document that says everything about your telemetry. But usually those are not tied together. Now we're moving to what's called the System Security Decision Record. That's the dream. It's actually telemetry built right into the document always. Tell us a little bit about kind of the old way, like how you guys would manage, because you guys were first like evidence collection and building the automations to create that. Talk a little bit about where the pain that it was, where we're going, and now how more than ever, right, you need that expertise, right, to kind of build it out.
Absolutely, for sure. So one of the key things is, and it kind of pivots off what I was saying, is like, one of the things we pride ourselves in, we like to call ourselves a technology company first, which just happens to be really good at compliance. Probably need to massage that wording a bit more because there's like, well, you just happen to be good at compliance. But that being
Specialize in compliance.
compliance, yeah. And the reason we say that is because so legacy FedRAMP, and the question is, why did the client call me? Why was it just us that he called and not everybody else? And what is so unique and differentiating than what we do? And what that was and is the fact that it was scrappy, and probably is a bit more scrappy right now because we are, for all intents and purposes, a startup. And I know we'll get into it, but AI is helping accelerate a lot of things. That being said, is the way we have, and I don't think we're doing anything special. I think it's the processes around how we execute, which is the management of data. So legacy FedRAMP, what system and architecture and what technologies are using, how are those technologies leveraged? Basically the things that we are going, head first, or I forget what that term is or expression is, but basically full steam ahead on the technology aspect. Like Paramify has the smart tagging systems and things of that nature. We had that in more scrappy methods, where we had a full database and table and we managed those things. And what we would do is, part of our gap assessment, we would understand the technology, but we have a lot of those things automated where we are able to manage the content and the data programmatically. And that's kind of one of the key differentiators that we did was, and I'm sure, other organizations, I'm positive, I know other organizations have some things similar, but it is the level of detail we went into, the level of care we took to ensure the execution of the development of those even those legacy packages were done in a way that made sense from end to end. And what that means is like
ultimately we wanted a useful package for the client, not something that's locked away in the cabinet, right? Just for audit.
correct.
So that was a big praise. That's why we strive for as well.
Yeah, obviously, right? Because people don't want to do that huge document. You want to spend time on the technology. You want to spend time on the strategy. And that's why you guys have probably had that much success, is like, hey, it's never about the document. It's about actually achieving the outcome.
Yeah.
Which
the value, right?
Yeah, a validated security system, right? A system that has that security implemented, right?
Well, and smart focus from the beginning too, especially because the future of FedRAMP is also shifting a lot more towards technology and away from manual audits, manual processes, manual documentation, all that.
And on top of that, now you have people, process, and technology that's always existed, and now you have AI on top of that. So the complexity actually increases.
Do you guys get a lot of clients coming? I know we talk to a lot of people who, with FedRAMP wanting more vendors to get in and sell to the government. There's a lot of companies coming in who are less informed than ever on FedRAMP and building things. And then there's AI where people are like, ooh, maybe I can just use AI and vibe code this whole thing and, write me an SSP, enter. Do you guys get a lot of that coming in? Do you guys get a lot of clients that have those expectations or so two-part question to that, but then also how are you guys now leveraging AI internally? Like how's that changed your guys' processes?
Absolutely. Love that. Yeah. We have, oh my God. Yeah. I'm sure everybody else in the space is having, folks come in like, hey, can't I just vibe code this? Can't I just write to this? And goes back to, so AI, well, let me try to answer that first part. Yes, 100%. And what we tell them is you can, the word deterministic comes into mind. And the reason that is you are able to leverage AI, and AI is really, I'm going to oversimplify, but AI is overly just a prediction engine, and its job and is working to make sure the next token that's being used makes sense and completes a full story. And what a lot of folks tend to forget is for things that are, I like to call it, deterministic, or is, I don't know if absolute's the right word, but things like math, things exactly, coding, and what a lot of folks seem to forget, and I know I mentioned it yesterday, but Cal Newport had a really good podcast about it, which he talks about, which folks forget is all of these LLMs underneath, like the underdog of all these LLMs are coding harnesses, which is basically written by humans, us. And there's the doom and gloom of, AI is going to take over all the jobs and so on and so forth. But, companies that like Anthropic, they have all these software engineering jobs open, 2,700 plus, last I checked. All that being said is, for things that are exact, AI is really good in accelerating those things. For things that still require human judgment and context and awareness and understanding of all of these pieces, at this point in time, like, I don't claim to be an expert, but in the way AI works, but I have to be able to complete that story for something as context-driven as compliance or advisory work to make sure you're doing things correctly. Like, I think it's not like you can probably get a good amount there, but then there's a lot of, you were just having a conversation with Jake, which is like, it depends. There's a lot of it depends in the compliance space as well, where AI is just not going to, at least at this point in time, not able to get to that part. At least I believe so.
What's interesting too is, who never asked that question. So we've talked with all of the big AI companies at Paramify, OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI. None of them have ever said, but I could just vibe code this with my product, right? Because they get it. Like, they are all out there looking for platforms and advisors and things like that because they know that that's just kind of the stage that it's at, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that it's good for people to understand what an LLM actually is, right? And what it's not. There's certain thing that's really good. It's just basically taking an index of data and then it trains on that data. We create all those parameters. And there's only so much context window it has, right? It's not good at spelling, right? In and of itself. So if it is, it's because, like you said, humans went in and set a parameter for it, right? It's not good at counting. It's not good at computation. That's where AI is getting better, right? Because it can say, I can call tools. But again, like in these niche scenarios with FedRAMP, you need to have those tools really well defined, which is why I'm super bullish on the future for people who know something, right? I'll take that. I love going up against people who think that, because I understand how to prompt, I'm a prompt engineer. Therefore I can compete with Bhanu. Therefore I can compete with Kenny Scott. Like, you can't, right? You have to actually know the space. Domain expertise becomes more and more important. And as systems explode, right, as these domain experts actually get excited about like, now I can implement my ideas, now you have more and more systems to protect, more and more complexity, right? So, the risk landscape is a lot bigger. AI introduces fundamentally new risk areas that we didn't have before. There's so much abdication of logic. We're abdicating the logic to this thing. And so when you do that, it's just, it can get really, really tricky. The companies that we see doing really well in this space, and this is what we aspire to, are going to build agents that have more deterministic prompting. So the scaffold, we're building tools, so many tools all the time, as deterministic as possible, where 85 to 90% of what you're doing is code. And then you're just doing maybe 1 prompt or 2 prompts max, because I think I saw it today. Like, if you think about the way that a lot of people set up agents, they have like a 5% failure rate. So let's say agent's really good and you get 95%, you're like, whoa, 95%, that's an A. Yeah, but over 100 iterations in a context, you have a 0.6% success rate there, right? Which is worthless, right? So if I can't rely on that, there again, you need, like you said, Bhanu, you need deterministic systems of record, and those need to be carefully managed. I think a lot of people sometimes are asking, well, why do I have to do FedRAMP 20X? That's a lot harder than what it was before. I like just to have my document. I want to trust this document. And what Pete says is like, hey, guess what? You need to ask for more budget. Right. You need 10x the budget that you're getting at these big companies. Like, you need to demand this, because if you're going to do business in the federal government, we need to have assurance that that system, like, that I know what's going on inside of that system. Again, to your point, transparent. Like, you're building, how do I know? How do I know the space? I like what you say, the dark matter of data. Yeah. How do I know what's in there? Why do I care about this? It gets harder and harder.
Well, and that was a fundamental problem of the SSP, is in all reality, the auditors were reading them, but the authorizing official was never reading the full SSP. Right. It's impossible. And so they were basically saying like, okay, I trust you that you read it, and I'm going to rely on the conmon from here. But like, in all reality, they were not getting an understanding of the system they were accepting, because it's impossible for them to read every one of those 1,500 page documents and fully understand what's happening.
And when they would be like, okay, I know the controls that I care about. So they would go to IA51. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, I know I need to do it. I'm going to go to IA51. And like, wait a minute, how come that's not? And they'll go to like AC2 and they'll like see the part, like they'll be like, okay, wait. And then they have scrutiny, like just go off the charts, because they're like, these components actually don't match. These components don't match. I'm like, where? And then they'll be like, where is this in your diagram? How come this isn't in your diagram? And the people are like, who have just spent, oh my gosh, bless their souls. They spent so much time and they've done good work, and they know that, like, they're like, dude, I know, yeah, that's just a copy paste error. It is actually okay. And they're like, well, now show me. And so the scrutiny goes off the charts, and then they're not going to make that, mm-hmm. They're not going to buy it. Like, it's
really hard to get assurance in that scenario. And that's where 20X is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's just all in front of you. It's actually tied to it. It's showing you live.
Yep. It's hard to build. Mm-hmm. There is no easy button to do it. It takes 4 deploy engineers. It takes good guardrails. It takes a system, right? Mm-hmm. that knows how to organize these things in a consistent, clean way, right? It takes a platform, right? You should have that. You need to get those tools for modern security package management. However, right, once it is set up, then the maintenance becomes like easier. Your ability to do like a significant change request actually increases exponentially, right? Because you can actually have a chance to say, hey, here's the deterministic system of record. Here's the SSDR May 31st. Here is the SSDR June 1st. What changes? Or you could even say, here's mm-hmm. what's potentially going to change. And then now you can use AI to like describe what's different between these things. And it can be pretty freaking accurate, right? Because it's like a one shot, right?
Precisely, yeah. No, and that segues into what I was thinking about. And I'll probably like, I'll say a couple of things. One is, and I know, we talked about it yesterday, there's like parties that don't want to adopt it. And like, I always say, like, we're big advocates of 20X and anything that is a challenge. I'll probably butcher the code, but I love the code, and I always say it, which is, progress. Something about progress depends on the unreasonable man, and therefore all progress depends on the unreasonable man. And like if you look at history, like there always has to be someone that is driving a change to actually get things to actually change. And
Lisan al-Gaib.
yeah.
Was a light bulb. I'll go with the light bulb.
And with that, what you said just a moment ago, Kenny, is like that's how weird. Because if you think about it, which is like there's all this doom and gloom. Yeah, it's gonna take people's jobs, and it's going. If you actually look at the data of what AI is doing, AI is actually doing is the folks that are using AI correctly, at least in the compliance space, is not taking a full document and throwing it in and saying, do X, Y, and Z. They're like, okay, well, they have a systematic approach. Okay, well, I don't want like the things that Oscar would be doing, things like validation of correctness, and like is the poem, because there's a certain format that needs to be met. As someone, what's gonna do is like, oh, I'm gonna make my job easier and just code a Python script to do X, Y, and Z to do the validation, and continue building on these more smaller applications to help me do my job. And then you get to what you were saying, Kenny, which is the security outcomes. It's subtracting away all of what's the word I'm looking for? All of the manual work that a human, the garbage that with the human does
worthless aspects.
Yeah. But where the human actually is required, the judgment, the call, okay, well, and AI is really good at what you just said, like things like summarize this evidence for me, or like update this to put it in this format, and do X and Y, and in terms of give me something.
It's an accelerator.
Right. In helping a human make judgment calls. And I think that is where AI really shines in terms of leveraging it for your job. But like in terms of folks saying AI is going to wipe out all these jobs and like compliance and knowledge workers. And I forget who it was, a big person like made a claim in about a year, in spring of 2027, all knowledge work is going to be automated. I'm like,
yeah, I'm absolutely.
yeah,
sure.
I'm like,
we're on track.
yeah,
We're right on pace.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
We're on track. Yeah, no, we're absolutely on track. That it is so important for people just to step back and just think. Yes. When someone is throwing out all sorts of fear, uncertainty, doubt, they do that. You have to say, dude, why is this guy saying all this crap? And you just got to be smart, right? Just think for yourself. It's the most contrarian thing to do. As Peter Thiel says, the most contrarian thing of all is to think for yourself, right? Now, what is their incentive, right? So, I mean, there's no doubt, like Claude, Codex, like there's no doubt. These are incredible tools. And they're getting better. We use them all the time. We use many different models inside our app, right? For our agentic flows. It is so sick. However, I still think that 90%, 90% of what we're going to be doing in 2027 will still be code, right? Will still be code. And then we're going to be using prompts and these frontier models that are supposedly the best ever. Like we get, okay, we're samesies on the iPhone?
Yep.
Yeah, we're samesies. I got the end. Yeah, we're samesies on the iPhone. And what happens what happens every October or September? What's the release? It's September, October, right?
Right around there, yeah.
Yeah. Around fall. right? Football starting, you know. Okay, yeah.
Best time.
So, dude, best time of year. New iPhone comes out. You got college football going. You got NFL. All these great things. And then what else is the greatest thing? The greatest iPhone ever, right? With like, and there's like pure hype, and we're using it the same. Like we're sending text, right? And we're taking pictures of our kids or of our spouse, or hopefully not doing anything creepy with them, right? You know what I mean? So like, you know, that's what we're doing every time. And I think that that's what it's going to be in April 2027 when we're all obliterated by AI, right? I think we are going to be building like 90% code, and our agents are going to be doing hopefully 1 to 2 things max before they totally degrade, right? In terms of what they're able to do. So that's what I think is going to happen. You just got to just stop anytime someone's saying, hey, everything's changing. This time it's different. Just stop and just think, no, it's not. Just, if you're really good at something, you'll be really good at that in April 2027.
Yeah.
And if you're smart, you're going to use AI to get even better at that thing that you're good at. This is the greatest time ever to build, right? Mm-hmm. To build a Bladestack, right? To build Paramify. It is the freaking awesomest time because what we're going to be able to do, these inefficient industries, right? Yeah, I mean, you'd said in the very beginning, FedRAMP is not something we liked. Right? It's not sexy. It is not something Pete liked. Pete has on his like LinkedIn thing, he's like, this time it's personal. Now he has a question mark. It's personal, but it wasn't always like that. This time it's personal. We're doing FedRAMP things. And we kind of, we became fast friends because we had that common enemy. The legacy FedRAMP process is freaking garbage. And it ruined lives. Like it ruined lives. And so much so that what do companies do? Okay, so you have this GRC team, and I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty. Okay, we have a GRC team, and we're pretty good at GRC engineering. We're building all these things, and we run into FedRAMP, and we're like, you want me to do what? I'm like, dude, I have this document. I'm like, no. You need to actually say that statement from AC2 part B. You need to repeat that at the top and say, attest that you do it at the very beginning. You mean like this? Yeah, that's it. Okay, now say what you inherit right here. Talk about what you inherit. Okay, you mean like this? And then now say what your IT team does. You mean like this? And then you're like, okay, now say what the customer does. Customer doesn't do anything here. Yeah, say it. And just go through ACE, and I'm like, you're kidding me. You are kidding me. I am not doing this. And so what would we do? We would hire consultants and burn them out. Burn them out. I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, you know, so we'll just take them to lunch, or they make them take us to lunch. And so whoever, like the partner that we work with would just like, is happy to give us a warm body to like go and say, let's repeat AC2 part B. What do you inherit? What do you do? What does your customer do? Nothing. Oh, copy paste. Are you sure? No. Next one. Right? Go to the next one.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. Yeah, leave a comment. And it'll just be unresolved until like when you're going through PMO review. What's this comment doing?
6 years old. What's this comment over here?
And so, like, let's look. Life's an incentive game. You have this whole industry of that happening. And ultimately, what are agencies wanting? Agencies are just wanting to feel comfortable that I can use this tool. The law was you have to be FedRAMP authorized to do this. So they're like, I'm not going to pay for an ATO. I'm not going to pay $400,000 budget to ATO product that I'm not sure is going to work. I just want to use it. Dude, it's just all broken. It's just all broken. It was never going to work. And so now what do we got as like professionals? We got a huge opportunity. It's huge. And I think budgets are going to increase because we're going to have success selling, you know, like, I mean, we can't say it like all of the customers, but I know that you have taken huge companies through like, giving them success in this space, right? And now they're going to be able to sell to government, right? And now government has a way to use these awesome tools that they wouldn't have had. They would have had to have waited like 2 years, 3 years to do, So we'll see what happens April 2027. I'll send you a text. You'll probably have a new iPhone. We'll be on our new iPhone, right?
We'll be like, you guys all so unemployed now? Dang it.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, Paramify is going to be bigger. Bladestack's going to be bigger. You guys are going to be doing more. And so everybody, just calm down, dude. They're just trying to raise money.
For sure. Yeah. That exactly. Well, surprise happens right before, they're looking to do some IPO type thing. And it's like, I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Going back to, I just realized when Kenny was talking about Paramify leveraging AI, I'm like, oh, I didn't mention about your second question, which is how Bladestack leveraging AI. So obviously, we avoid the customer data, but for our operations and how we optimize and
Scale.
And it goes back to the fundamental thing, which I mentioned is, and what you mentioned is the smart people are going to leverage it to accelerate their, I don't know if smartness is actually a word, but their knowledge, their
smartness.
Yeah,
I love
it. Accelerate your smartness.
I love it.
Accelerate your smartness.
And, I think a couple of weeks was another great example. Many won't ever say it, but Minnie is like the brains of the operations of how things flow through the work we do, the advisory, the processes. A lot of folks from the outside in think, Bladestack just a consulting company, but if you actually peer behind the scenes, there's a lot of automations, processes, all of those things. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Vinny actually tells me all the time. He's like, hey, I'm the brains behind it.
This is all I do. Make this better. Make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
I said.
And it also brings me to a couple of different things that we were talking about. And so the answer is yes, we leverage AI and we are big advocates of it. And we make sure we use it responsibly, ethically, all of those things. And we use it to accelerate our own, the human self, the ability to make the things that we really shouldn't be, like making sure our cycles are spent on the judgment calls as opposed to the mundane garbage pieces. Where I was going with that is, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
That's all right, dude. I feel like,
No,
dude, we're besties, man. This happens to me all the time. What were we talking about? Pizza in Costa Rica sucks.
It does, yeah. I will say though, we hiked into Machu Picchu once, and then in Aguas Calientes had the best pizza I've ever had.
What?
Yeah.
In Peru?
It's better in Italy, but it was very good.
In Peru?
In Peru.
Whoa. All right.
One thing I will say though, to your point, so the more things that AI commoditizes, because it's predicting, it's really average, right? It's taking a lot of that. The more that it does that and commoditizes things, I actually think it's more important to have company branding that is different, because ultimately, like, the golden rule in sales is people buy from people they like. They're gonna buy from you if they want to work with you. And so going back to that original conversation, it becomes even more important to have a messaging that resonates with people and a brand that is different, because that's like your first exposure to somebody. Same thing with us at Paramify. Kenny used to say all the time, like, Paramify is not for everybody. And I'd tease him and I'd be like, well, we do want to sell to them though. But the principle is actually true. Like, sometimes we have some things on our platform, like we call our deviation requests excuses. We think it's hilarious. We've had people get mad at us. They're like, guys, you're not taking this seriously. You're like, you know what? We're not taking it seriously. It's already boring enough. Like, we can have fun with it. And if you're not on board with that, like,
get out.
There are a lot of platforms that are super boring that you will probably love to use.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more that AI becomes a thing, I do think, like you kind of mentioned, that doubling down on the human touch, and it is super important.
Yeah. And it just came back to me what I was going to talk about.
I knew it was
Yeah,
I knew it was
thank you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Machu Picchu, pizza.
Machu Picchu, pizza.
Pizza, selling.
We did it.
Yes.
Which is what a lot of folks also seem to forget is, okay, AI is really good on getting that MVP product in the dash. Everybody has a dashboard now, and everybody's able to get there. But then folks are like, leveraging AI is not just, okay, now I can prompt it and be a prompt engineer, like you guys said, but okay, are you thinking about authentication? Are you thinking about data integrity? Are you thinking about databases? Are you thinking about secrets? Are you thinking...
AI does all of it.
It already knows.
Agent. And it's only a 5% failure rate.
And it's all that tech debt then now you're going to have to start addressing, and people are starting to realize it. Then it's like, okay, how good are you at requirements gathering? How good are you at prompting about requirements gathering? How good are you at treating Claude or Codex as your junior dev, not necessarily just build, Opus 4.9, make no mistakes, go. Yeah.
The more dialed you can get it, the more scoped you can get it, the better your outcomes are going to be. And yes, context windows are going to improve, and it's going to, be the next iPhone. It's going to be better and better and better and better. And we can guarantee, yes, absolutely, technology is going to continue to get better. But also the risks increase, and so. I just think that there's so much opportunity, right?
So much.
And it is, so let's talk about like literally what these enhanced capabilities in AI actually do to the threat landscape. The real easy one, right, is, the time to exploit, right? The time to exploit a vulnerability. Right. So that used to be over a year, right? We went through the process, especially Common, right? You're super familiar with it, right, Vinny? Going through the Common. Yeah. So you have this vuln that's on one of your assets, and you got to remediate it. And it's like, it's all right. Like, average time to exploit, it's like a year or whatever. Now throw all that out, right? You have AI's ability to pop things in less than a day now. And then you have Mythos, which is too scary to even be released to the public, right? Which is so good. It can't, we do the last guy to even talk about it, It's just crazy things happen, right? But it is true though. We don't have real time now. Like we don't have time to sit behind these big giant documents that are 2,400 pages long to make risk decisions. We got to move to this spot, right? So, future of compliance. Like, what do you guys think in terms of how we need to be thinking about addressing these risks that come up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make a good point in terms of let's focus less on the aspects that don't directly actually manipulate or impact the security, which is, the documentation, and like, yes, it's good to have that. Yes, I understand the spirit of why it exists, but what actually matters in terms of in risk management, to your point, because the time to exploit is being reduced and reduced and reduced. And so our thought is, the question you were asked exactly, what are our thoughts, which is, and how we're going to, or how do we want to leverage AI to, well, make sure I'm answering the question right. Is it more so what is our threat landscape going to change, or how it's going to change, or how we're going to be leveraged, or just a combination of like...
Yeah. I just think maybe it's like just mixing everything, I don't always ask the most pointed questions, but just to explore, right? It's like, we really have a huge threat landscape now. It's actually, I think you nailed it. You have to do what matters. There's no real time to waste doing what doesn't matter. And so anyone that's pushing me to do something that sucks is not, you get out of my way. I don't want to work with you if you're telling me that I have to do this arbitrary thing that makes no sense. You don't have to do that anymore. And I'm pumped for that, right? And I wasn't sure we would be able to succeed. I actually thought 20X would succeed. So I was one of the early believers. I was right on there. I was like, dude, it's going to go. And everybody else was like, are agencies going to accept this? I don't know. Oh, what's really happening? Is Pete going to get fired? No, he's actually going to get promoted, right? He was right. Because the old way was stupid. The old way was stupid. And this way is correct. It's not only going to change FedRAMP, it changes everything. It will change. Dude, it's coming for SOC 2. It's coming for ISO 27001. It's coming for CMMC. That's going to be my favorite one. CMMC, oh my gosh.
That's going to be your favorite one to watch die.
To watch it die. Dude, those deliverables are freaking stupid, right? And the approach is dumb. Dude, run up a flagpole. Sorry who I offend. I don't care. You're wrong. You're going to get cooked by the new way. Gonna get cooked. I'm sorry, it works.
But yeah, for sure. I think it's a combination of everything we talked about, which is the threat landscape is going to change in the way where the smart people are going to leverage the capabilities that we have to accelerate the time to make the judgment call, which implies that less time is being spent on the documentation, the things that don't matter as much as the actual things that actually do matter. And the folks that are leveraging the capabilities at hand, like those are the folks. It brings me back to I forget what podcast it was, but it was in regards to kind of like compute and making the decision, and like why making the decision is important, which was put two identical, let's say, two identical threat detection, or let's say we have a product that all it does is look for vulnerabilities and is trying to exploit vulnerabilities. Exact same product code base, exact same everything. It's largely agentic driven, like AI. It has leveraging LLMs. And let's say everything's the same, 100% the same. The only difference is the amount of compute you put behind it. Everything the same, the system that has the more compute is going to win it out every time, because you're going to be able to make those decisions and reiterate on its context, on its tokens to make that prediction much more reliable, continually faster than the one, even though everything, the coding harnesses and everything underneath, the programmatic, the agents is 100% the same. The one with a bit more compute is going to win out to make that decision, that determination. It just goes back to it. I think it highlights how important being able to make that decision faster is like the key to what you were saying is, are you going to spend time here, or are you going to spend time on being able to make more knowledgeable decisions and judgment calls? And how do you get there? By spending less time on things that don't necessarily change the threat landscape, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. You guys, we are so grateful you guys came out to Utah for this podcast. It's so fun to have you and hang out a little bit and to get into the room on the whiteboard and get grinding with you guys. All right, it's super fun to kind of iron things out with the partnership. So tell our listeners where they can learn more about Bladestack, where to follow you. Yeah. Where can we learn more?
Yep. You can learn more at bladestack.io. and everything's kind of on our front page. We like to consider ourselves a technology company first, which specializes in compliance. But yeah, that's a bit more. I mean,
Awesome.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah.
Great to hang out.
yeah. Thanks for having us. Much
I love
appreciated.
it. I love the Mountain Views. Oh, Alex.
Sponsorship?
Yeah, I'd like to thank our sponsor.
They don't know they sponsor us.
They don't know. They will. They'll love us.
They'll love us.
It's
Thank you,
gonna-
Arrowhead. I'm just kidding.
Arrowhead. Isn't that a gaming company too?
Yeah,
No, yeah.
probably. Ciao, amigos.